you guys in. Thank you guys for joining us. We've got wonderful people with us today. We've got Trisha Murphy Madden, we have Kelly Roberts, we have Brittany Todd, and we have Christine Conti. And a lot of times I introduce everybody. Oh, I should introduce myself. Hello, I'm Sarah Cooperman. I'm the CEO of SCW Fitness Education and the founder of the Mania Conventions. And I'm really glad, I'm excited to see you guys. We've already got 25 people that have logged in. My guess is we'll end up with about 50 attendees. And I think Dan's going to text me with how many people registered. Well, that'll be a surprise. So what we're talking about today is the modern fitness landscape. Obviously depends on versatility. And we really would love to do in-person training with everyone because this is the best way to connect with people. If I hear that word connection one more time from 2020, I'm just like, I'm so sick of it. But if you're able to train people online, you can scale your clients. You can train them from any place in the world, whether it's small group, whether it's a large group, whether it's one-on-one. And what we want to talk about is what's the best way to connect with them, keep them connected with you, try to scale and get more clients, get more people. And I know this is going to sound a little bit tacky, but you know what? I'm kind of a tacky person. How do we make money with all this? Because a lot of our clubs have still closed. I mean, we keep hearing about the fitness industry is exploding now and blah, 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 and wellness. And I'm like, I have a really good friend that used to own 11 clubs and now she owns 3. So I'm kind of looking at that. Yet I have another friend who started with 1 club and now she owns 3 clubs. So we're shifting and we're changing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you guys individually introduce yourself. And I'm going to start with you, Kelly, because I was really very interested how you have clients all over the USA. How do you introduce yourself, if you would, please, and share with us?
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Kelly Roberts. I am a 40-year veteran in the fitness industry, and during the pandemic, I went virtual, like I think so many people did. And I also started teaching people in their backyards, and so I was live and virtual. So I was very much hybrid, but a lot of the people I was seeing was online, and that ended up getting me a lot of referrals.
Mm,
So
okay.
now I have like, for example, I have a small group of women who are sisters, and I see them, the 3 sisters. One is in Colorado, one is in Northern California, and the other one is back east. And I see them all at the same time once a week, and I record the Zoom session. And when I'm not available, I have a library of recordings for them. They do the recordings and they keep each other accountable, which is really great thing about a small group. But I also have another virtual client in New York who found me during the pandemic. So I love the virtual space. I have a virtual platform as well. And so that brings in money when I'm not working.
Up that and I hate to tell you guys, but we're one physical body. And if you can figure out a way to make money while you're sleeping, if you can figure out a way to make money while you're on vacation, that's kind of what we want to do. Um, and Kelly, now you talked about referrals. How do you get your clients to make these referrals? Like, how did it kind of happen? Do you ask them and say, "Hey, I've got a few extra time spots. If you have any friends, please refer them," and do you give them a slight percentage or a free workout, or do they just do it because they love you?
They do it because they love me. I think when you give an amazing experience, when the experience of working with you is absolutely fantastic and they get really great results, they refer you because they talk about you. They tell everyone, oh, look, I lost 30 pounds. I didn't lose any muscle mass while I was in a caloric deficit. I'm strength training. I feel the best. I'm stronger. I can do push-ups now. Like whatever it is that you're achieving with them, they tell other people.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. I love to hear that. Brittany, you've been nodding, so I'm going to hit on you next. But I do want to say, you guys, look down at the bottom of your screen, move your mouse, see the chat box. You all know what it looks like. It looks like one of those little bubbles from a cartoon talking. Please type your questions in. These incredible women are so gracious with sharing their expertise. So the chat is open right now, and you can type in your information. Frankly, do me a favor to make sure it's working. Type in where you're from. Oh, look, Dylan's from Ottawa, Canada. Love to see it. All right, Brittany, please introduce yourself and please share with us why you were nodding so excitedly during the referral conversation.
Yeah, so my name is Brittany Todd. I'm in a unique role. I work full time as a director of fitness and wellness at a university in Daytona Beach, where I oversee the entire fitness operation and have about three full timers that report to me in that capacity. But I also own a consulting company called Fluorescent Fitness, where I get to do a lot more of my hands-on capacity than I do as a director. And yeah, I was nodding profusely as Kelly was talking because we can't get away from word of mouth, whether it's good or whether it's bad, but ideally it's good. And just in my experience working as a trainer, having had clients who once I moved to different areas out of state, I was able to maintain them through the virtual training capacity. And they were my biggest selling points, at that time, because I had a full-time job. I was like not necessarily actively pursuing clients, but the results speak for themselves. Like Kelly said, the experience speaks for itself, and they're sending people in their network. And so that kind of helps things sustain.
Oh, I love that. And you know what? You guys, if you're doing like online webinars or classes or things like that, always open your chat because it's wonderful. I'm seeing all these people, Evelyn, Lisa, we've got Natalia, Chelsea, and then I got to squint. I should be wearing my glasses and look at this. I've got Carrie, people from Idaho, Virginia Beach, Myrtle Beach. I got a couple people from Virginia. You guys know I'm getting people. Oh, wow. I've got California coming in. I've got Philadelphia, Los Angeles, South Carolina. And of course, Ann Gilbert from Tampa, Florida. So it's a way for people that if I have a live group and then I also have people online, if I say their name, if I say where they're from, they feel like they're involved. I feel like I'm watching, what is that? A Peloton, and they're screaming out names and saying, "Here, you're wearing a T-shirt." I don't know. It tends to work. All right, thank God Kelly's laughing at me. All right, Trisha, you do amazing work online. You do certifications online. You train people online. You mentor online. Share with us your techniques for securing these various referrals.
Well, I think hmm, it's exactly what Kelly and Brittany have already noted, which is there is no trainer still teaching virtually since the pandemic who's not fantastic. And I can guarantee that because if you're still in business and you're teaching virtually, you're going to be really good. You're somebody who knows how to speak to camera. You're somebody who knows how to communicate. You have an understanding of how to adapt and teach all types of learners online. Like it is really hard to not just gain instructors, but maintain them. And in this era, really, YouTube has everything that all of us in the fitness professionals world for free. So our biggest competitor isn't Peloton or, Apple Fitness or any of those. Our biggest competitor is definitely YouTube because everything is for free. What we offer, specifically personal trainers and group fitness instructors, is really us. And at this point, if you are still packing a virtual room or you're getting referrals for clients, you're doing something very special. So that is number one. So number one to me is be great at what you do. This is not easy money. This is not make cash quick. It's not a cash cow, but when you run it well, you start to make money. In the education world, when we offer educations, it's of the highest quality. We have, perfected our PowerPoints look good. They're interactive. Our challenges within the educations for 8 hours really connect us to the attendees virtually. Things like you just said, how we connect with them in the chat, how we connect with them unmuting and muting and putting into rooms and doing some specialty practical exams within those rooms. So it's all about really finding how to be the best at what you do, because virtually you can't be mediocre. And that seems so simple, but it's just so true. So, but that comes from a lot of things. How you cue your content.
There's a lot of people. It's very interesting. We're seeing a lot of people chime in. Lisa's chiming in, Evelyn's chiming in, Diane's chiming in. It's interesting because people have been doing this since 2020. And the best thing about this is, if you don't know how to put together a PowerPoint, you don't even need to pay for training. Go on YouTube, Google it, chat it, have them send you a video, go on YouTube, and they can train you how to do a good PowerPoint. They can train you how to send a decent email. You can learn these specifics. So I love doing that. Christine, you do a wonderful newsletter. You also have been training people online. Talk to us about what you do that really helps you with your referrals.
Okay, Sarah, I'm gonna call out on you for a second. Ready? Sarah, you are a potential client. Okay. I want to know, what are you gonna buy? The blue pen or the black pen? That's what I'm selling. Which one?
I'm going for the blue.
No, you're not gonna buy either one. You know what you're gonna buy? Me. That's what we're selling here, right? It doesn't matter what the heck you do. You don't have to be the best at whatever you're doing in fitness, or you don't have to be a perfect push-up or the perfect body. You are selling you. And I know that, Sarah, before you were like connection, right? That word is just, what is connection? Connection is, you are a storyteller. You are someone who allows other people to feel seen, to feel heard, and to feel like they're enough. That's what it is. So when you think about, when I do my newsletters and Instagrams and all these things, I am not going to give you a hard sell. I am going to tell you stories, little pieces of my life. And in those little pieces, in those little stories, I am hoping that you're going to be able to make a connection with me. So even though I do a lot of other things in this world, like I always say, I'm like, I got all these jobs and companies, because you know why? I'm going to be sitting my butt in Tahiti one day while all the things are still running and we're still getting paid, right? That's the whole purpose of what we want to do. But right now, yeah, I still have some clients like Kelly. And my kind of niche is chronic disease, chronic wellness. And what does that mean? Mental, physical, whether you have arthritis or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or cancer or whatnot. And how did I do that? I started telling some of my story of, I was sick and here's things I did. And I started writing articles and blogs and reaching out to companies, even SCW, right? Go on their certifications, take a look. You're going to find things about chronic disease. And the more I was able to share, say, listen, I want to help you feel better. That was what carved out my niche. So a lot of people will find me, whether it's online or Google or just, oh yeah, I remember that girl. I heard her talk about something, or that article I read, and it's surprising how many people reach out. And, while I don't have, I'm not like a full day client here and there. There's clients I've had for over 10 years all over the country that I'm not meeting them every day, right, Kelly? Like, we're not, like, this is not an everyday thing, but it might be once a week here, but it adds up. And those people, once they kind of realize that you want to help them and you make them feel good, they're going to be with you for life. And I think that, again, like I said, what are you buying, right? Like, you're not buying any of the things. Like, I could be doing jumping jacks or plies, and they're like, we don't really care. We just want that half hour with you because we feel so good after.
That's interesting. So I love what you're saying. And this is for the people on the webinar, throw in into the chat, what your specialties end up being. I love the term specialty and finding your own niche and figuring out who you are and who you identify with. But I do believe that we can cross. I mean, like, Kelly, do you cross? Are you training men and women? Are you training young people and old people? What is the versatility that you use to attract different people? Or are you pretty much sticking to the same type of individual that you're training?
That's an interesting question. I have mostly women right now. I have trained men in the past, usually older men or older men with some kind of clinical, like heart disease, congestive heart failure, Parkinson's, someone with a significant health challenge. But right now, all my clients are women. I seem to have landed cleanly in that female space, which I love. And I probably think I will stay there because I'm enjoying it so much. I think that is where I want to stay. I do have a 40-year-old, but most of my other clients are older. I'm training women between the ages of, I've got one 40-year-old client, she's in her mid-40s in New York, who I see on Zoom. And I have my other clients are a little older. They're between the ages of, it's like 60 and 70.
Well, that's pretty interesting. A few people threw it in the chat. One woman's training postmenopausal women, another person is training cancer recovery. And I think identifying and sharing information for where you're at really tends to help. And Brittany, you're nodding here. Are there other techniques so that you can cross ages, cross, sexual orientation or sex or whatever, that can help these people to grow their clients? What have you seen that's really helped them expand their touch?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I love what Christine was saying about the specialty piece. I think the specialty ties into your brand, how you're marketing yourself, how you're promoting yourself, a little bit of who you're attracting. But our knowledge and education as fitness professionals is what allows us to serve the greater population. And so the way that I coach my team of trainers as we've begun to do additional virtual trainings and have those offerings over several institutions that I've worked in is, okay, you have your specialty, but you need to showcase your knowledge, period, and your value. In a time when it's hard out here for people, the economy is tough. So people want to make sure that they're getting the bang for their buck. So sprinkling in information. My biggest thing is the best way to create recurring clients and get retention is to build independent exercisers. If I'm coaching you in a way that you're gonna not always need me, somehow that always translates back to you continuing to come back. And so it puts us beyond just the general sales into becoming problem solvers. So whatever your problem is, we do have the expertise and the education to solve it. We just have to communicate and demonstrate it in a way that's going to show the value to the people whose problems they're coming to us to solve.
I hear you. I feel like we have to show our intellect and our expertise. But I agree with Christine. I may have wanted that blue pen just because it it showed up, whereas the black pen melted in with the beautiful blazer. But I'm buying Christine, and I'm buying you, Brittany. And I want to connect. And it was interesting. Natalia was just typed in the chat. She's talking about, she tells personal stories. And you want to make sure that it's like we become friends. I got to be honest with you. My students become my closest friends. But it's hard if I can't spend that extra time in the locker room changing. Or that little, I show up early in my class and I introduce myself and go person to person. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit. Show up a little bit early to the webinar, to the meeting, to whatever, and say, how are you doing today? What's going on? And then when you have to start, yeah, definitely start on time. And that might be that may be something that may help us. Trisha, how do you stay in touch and just not let it suck up your entire life? I mean, I got to be honest with you. It's like I can't live on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram because I'll just have to stab somebody. I can't do it. Nobody cares what I ate for breakfast. It's hard for me. Although today I did post that Max got recruited by Max is my youngest, the pro hockey player. He got recruited. He's going to be playing in New Zealand this summer. So, oh darn, I have to go visit him. So I do post, but how do you nurture those connections? Because you got a huge online presence.
I mean, I think it's you show up as a fitness professional where it's authentic to you. So for me, I show up to Instagram and Facebook. I try very hard to show up in the TikTok world, but that's really because I started to find my little niche there. But I'm sort of cautious when I go into these things because I think it comes off as really inauthentic. I have a business partner who is very, very good at showing up and building a younger audience, and I'm very good at connecting with our older audience. And so we both don't try, and we have a whole team of 100 trainers that we want them to show up and speak to their muse. So we don't try to be everything to everyone. Even when we're kind of reaching out globally, we try to be ourselves. I also feel like it's important to have a very consistent communication with your customers, even after they've bought the education or the content. I think, good email systems, we're such system people. So we have emails that go out to our customers that aren't our customers yet. We have emails that go out weekly to our customers that are existing customers. We have emails that are telling them about events that are coming up. And then we have emails that are simply to provide free content and education. So similar to what you do at SCW, that's how we see creating value. Now that's with instructors. With my clients and then the people that I've taught online since COVID, it's really, in this case, I also have older clients and they just want an email, a phone call, a walk on occasion if they live in my city. In fact, Abby and I got an email this morning from one of our very consistent customers. And it was just like I literally just brought it up because it was this morning she sent it and just said, I'm just loving still doing your online workouts, even though we're not meeting so much live. So again, I think it's small and has to come really genuine to what you're doing. We do tend to have to select as fitness professionals whether we're going to be a brand or we're going to be a person. I think personal trainers really do have to market themselves as a personal brand. Lauren and I do try to lean away a little bit from constantly, when you open our emails, it shouldn't constantly be Lauren and Trisha. In fact, I've learned over the years that sometimes the best thing you can do is let your customer get to know your brand and what you sell versus you, because not everybody's going to like both of us. Not everybody's going to like somebody who works for us. But if they like what we sell, the content we create, and the certifications, that's what's most important. Now, they may connect with us as they get to know us, but we try to make it less about us and more about the product. So you won't always see our names and we won't always shout that from the rooftop, but that's sort of just how we operate. I think it works both ways.
Yeah, I really like the way you said show up and be authentic. Authentic, again, I'm throwing around, there's another word I kind of have grown to hate, but but it's important. By the way, you guys, we had 163 people register for the webinar, and we have about 48 that have connected with us so far live. And it's what I'm finding fascinating is as time progresses, we have so many people, logging in and registering for the emails, but they love podcasts. And maybe it's because maybe our clients are instructors and trainers and they're driving to the gym okay, or they're walking their dog, or what's the most convenient way to connect with them. Um, how are you finding yourself showing up, Christine? Because you do have multiple businesses, and also you're the most amazing marathon triathlete. You work with autistic kids. You're like a saint. You know, today I went shopping on Rodeo Drive. So that tells you this is not anything to be proud of right now. But you've got this following. It's pretty impressive. And how do you take that following where maybe, and I made fun of it before, but maybe people do want to know what you eat for breakfast, and how do you turn that into a client?
Two things. Number one, tomorrow is when I leave for the Boston Marathon. I run every year, 13 streak. I'm going with the Alzheimer's Association, right? So I always like to do things. And when I do things, I like to do things for a bigger cause. That's just me. Whatever it is that I do, how can I give back? How can I help? So the thing that's changed my life, number one, is a really quick saying, how can I help? How many times have you asked that? Okay. So when you're marketing people, and I know Trisha, you said, you had said, pushing the products as opposed to only the people. Now, that's great if you have a company, right? And I'm going to ask the people in the chat right now, how many of you are just you training versus company owners? I think there's a very clear delineation between that. So if you are just, not just a trainer, you're a life changer, lifesaver, that's different because you do have to sell yourself, literally. Okay. And people want to enjoy your time together. You don't want to. So if you do have products, that is a little different because sometimes if it is that good, it'll sell itself. You want to be replicable, right? It can't be you all the time, but so there's that part that's separate. But I do think that whole, how can I help? Once you start saying that, people will, it's not, you need to buy this or you need to buy that. Hey, how can I help? And sometimes it's as easy as that. And they'll tell you, and now you come along and you can answer that question with whatever product or whatever thing, whatever your specialty is or your niche. And it's, like you had mentioned podcasts, like that was big, like podcasting. And, many of you, it's like, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just asking, hey, I'd love to feature you. I'd love to know your story. I'd love to share that with the world. Like you're empowering people, whether it be through a product or making them feel better. We're like healthy bartenders, aren't we? Like we make people feel like $1 million, but in a good way,
Kelly, how can we improve the accountability of our clients? What bite-sized like check-ins work for you? I know we were chatting a little bit before we turned the camera on. Trisha was talking about text message. Do you have a special thing that tends to be working with most of the clients, or is it all completely individual?
It's individual, but I mostly use text
Okay.
because it's quick, it's bite-sized, it's immediate. And if sometimes I email as well, but it's mostly text.
Yeah. And it's interesting because SCW, we do a lot of emails and we also do text messaging. And what I find is now when you're a business and you're sending things out, they can just toss you into spam, or they set it up so that you automatically go into spam. And people can click stop and you're out of there. That happens kind of all the time for us, unfortunately. So here's the little secret, guys. If you telemarket, if you call and you leave a voicemail, they can read your voicemail. So that's been a phenomenal way for us to be able to connect with people. So we've been doing a bit of telemarketing, and it kind of okay, Christine, you're nodding there. And Brittany, you're also teaching. So you also, I imagine, work with younger individuals as well, right?
Yes, in the university setting. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so are these young people, are they already training people, or are you training them how to begin to train?
A little bit of both. So I've worked in 5 universities now, and it kind of is the run of the gamut. In the bigger markets where I've worked, like Miami, obviously fitness is king there, so they come in already having that knowledge. But a big part of team culture is making sure that even though each trainer's personality, specialty, skill set may be different, the foundational pieces that retain clients and help them to be successful are going to be the same. And especially being with that Gen Z younger population, they love virtual stuff. They don't really want to talk to you the way that we would traditionally do that. So understanding how to help the trainers translate what they're doing in person into that way that's going to keep this younger population engaged when they've already got so much stuff on these devices that are keeping their attention.
Yeah, so how do we compete with that?
Yeah, and I think you guys touched on it perfectly. Just stand at the forefront of their mind. So what I've been coaching my team on is just making sure that the check-ins are regular, daily if you can. Some people may not be able to tolerate that. In Miami specifically, a lot of our students didn't like to read. They like voice text messages. So it's like a quick audio of your voice. So it's kind of a hybrid between a voice message and a text message, but it also gives a transcript. So those were quick ways to have that dialogue exchange and make sure that the information is communicated because they're listening versus having to skim through and read. And if it's too much, it's going in one ear and right out the other.
Oh, that's interesting. I had a friend of mine who was a trainer, and he would have his clients take pictures of their meals. And what he would do is either email them back a pig or email them back a heart. And I'm like, it's not very subtle, Jeff. Okay, it's just not very subtle. But it served a purpose and it kept people connected. So he would get text message all the times of what people were eating and he would, respond, but it did keep that connection going. So I thought that that was pretty interesting. Um, what do you think? Uh, have you guys gotten so skilled at how to film? Like, I have to be honest with you. I'm talking to all of you. Trisha where were you earlier? This, where were you? I can't even remember. You just
Well,
drove back.
yesterday I was at Palm Springs. Now I'm
Yeah,
in Phoenix.
yeah, you were in Palm Springs. Now you're in Phoenix. I'm in LA, and then this weekend I'm going to be in where am I going to be? Florida. We're all over. We're able to connect. And what I like about this is I always say we all look like Anderson Cooper. You know what I mean? We've got the shoulder thing going. We've got a couple inches above our head. Some of us have virtual backgrounds. The other people made sure their backgrounds look good. Some of us have shaded our background. We know what we're doing. Do you believe our clients are there as well? Are you able to see them? I remember Kelly when this was like in 2020 and you were training clients and you were training some real elderly individuals and you would have to have their caregiver move the camera or you were staring at the top of their head or their feet and you couldn't see them move. Do you think people have gotten better and do you think that they want to get better and continue with the virtual training?
I think virtual training is here to stay because there's an incredible convenience with it that people don't have to leave their home and you can schedule it to fit them, or you can have an on-demand service, or it's you can't beat the convenience. And a lot of people bought equipment, so now people have the equipment they need, and that it's become part of their daily fabric. It's part of what they do normally.
All right, and we got a good question from Kathy. Do you think clients prefer Zoom or live stream or FaceTime? What do you think the technique seems to be working best for them?
I mean, I'll
Trisha,
jump in. I would
yeah.
say it's still Zoom because Zoom is by large statistics the largest still. Just because people got so used to using it during the pandemic. For on demand, obviously Vimeo is an incredible tool, especially for trainers to upload previous workouts as well. We also send our instructors when they're going to attend a virtual certification, an SOP for being able to be seen themselves, so that when we do some practical work, we can actually see their body, and we tell them how to align, in whenever they're in a prone position. Like, we actually send them an SOP, which sort of helps a lot, because then when we're
SOP.
like it's just a standard operation. Like, I want you to turn on, when you turn on your camera, I want you to be, if it's this type of camera, I want you to be 10 feet away. I want your space to be cleared. When we go to the ground, I want you to move your computer down to the ground, so now I can see you there. Because it just tells them that we actually care, that we want to see their body as they're moving. We want to be able to see when they have a question. We don't want to have to wait for them to put it in the chat. So it's nice when you can see somebody raise their hand, right? You can see it. You're like, oh, Sarah, I see you have a question. And then you're responding real time, as opposed to that person going, ooh, can I unmute, or should I just put it in the chat? And then what if I don't see it because it's in the chat and I'm old and can't see that? All of those things are really helpful. But statistically, Zoom is still very, very successful.
It's very successful. You guys, I'm going to show you this. And Dan was instrumental in putting this together for us. And then I will throw it in the chat, which is going to be really long. But I'm going to show you where Dan, could you make it so that I could share my screen? But if I can't, I think this is okay. I'm going to send this to everyone. See if I can.
How can I help, sir?
I want to be able to share. Okay. I want to be able to share my screen. All right. Now, I put it in the chat for everyone, and I'm going to try to make this send. I think there it goes. You guys can see it. Let's see if I can share my screen real quickly. Oh, very cool. All right, guys, here it is. We do a wonderful thing for our presenters. We do live stream conferences. We did an Active Aging Summit completely online. Live Stream Mania is coming up. I think it's this weekend. Oh my gosh. And then we've also got, you guys can see my screen, yeah? So we have a list. It's a pre-presentation checklist. And we actually retrain all our presenters just to make sure you update on Zoom, you position yourself near Wi-Fi, you limit devices in the network, you fully charge and plug in your computer, because you're going to lose electricity. I'm always losing electricity in my hometown. You've got to restart and update the computer, have a backup should your electricity go down, which is great to have your cell phone. You can Zoom also from your cell phone. It's interesting stuff. I'm going to stop sharing real quickly. You can see it in the chat. I put our whole list in the chat, and we've honed it over time. You want to know why? Because we've messed up every way you possibly can. I even hardwire my computer in because of a suggestion. I'm trying to point to Kelly Roberts wherever she is, but it's your fault, Kelly, that she said, why don't you hardwire? I'm like, hardwire? How do you hardwire? And I realized, Sarah, you've got that blue cord that's been sitting around for a decade. Shove it in an attachment that you buy on Amazon for $6.58 and shove it in your computer. I never lose Wi-Fi. So it's certain things to think about. Testing before you come on. All of us were on 15 minutes before. Kudos to Tricia Murphy, who started on a iPad, and she's like, I don't like this. I can't do my background. I'm going on my computer. But she was on early to test it. Brittany changed her light and her background. Kelly's always here, 3 days in advance. You gotta love her, okay? And we're all doing these things, but it is very important. So anyway, if you can block and paste, I don't know if you can block and paste from Zoom right now. You couldn't do that on chat earlier, but Zoom seems to be catching up. But steal that little insight over there. And then I look at some of these things. How can we've talked about engagement. I want to talk one more time how we build that community. I know text message is working. What do you say in the text message? How do you stay connected? Brittany, you're nodding, so you're up, girl.
All right. Yeah, I think that's where leveraging the relationship comes in. So the thing that's worked for me is being natural and genuine in the way that I communicate with that person when we're talking to each other is the way that you communicate with them in text. So sometimes it's the emojis, or if you got a little inside joke, throwing some of the GIFs in, the ways that, like you all were saying, you show your personality. That's what keeps them connected to you. And so I try not to text in a way that's like a machine could have put this together, especially in the age of AI. Sometimes I include a typo on purpose so they know it was me, you know? So just the little ways that we can show our character and our color of our personality really helps humanize even that digital portion of the text.
Oh, I like that. And Christine, how do you do that? How do you make sure that you're not I know we're gonna text, we might leave a voicemail, things like that, but then how do you make sure that connection is is sinking in?
I wish I had the $1 million answer for that because I think we just try, right? At the end of the day, if people are ready to invest in you and they are ready to go, you've done all the things, they've bought you, they didn't buy the pens, right? Then it's your job to, like Trisha, you said before, there's always automations, there's always emails. Again, if you have a company, if you have a business, you should have some sort of marketing plan. Someone visits your website, how are you doing a lead capture? I've learned more about lead captures in the last 6 months than I think I ever want to learn about in my entire life. Um, and I do think it's really important you find out what's your demographic. Are you the baby boomers that need that personal touch, that email? Are you the Gen Zs that need the TikTok and they need the text message? I think those are the things, being consistent always. If you can email someone and text them and leave a voice message every day, do it. But if not, be strategic. Trisha, you said too, if you do have the ability to capture, making sure that you're tagging different groups. So if you can't afford to email or don't have the time every day, it's okay. Well, the first week of the month, I'm going to be emailing these people. The second week, I'm going to email this group. The third week, so that you constantly are in their, in their mind, because maybe it's not never, but maybe it's just not now. So not giving up on that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's a great closing comment from you. Kelly, any quick tips we can close with?
I would say add value. Find ways of adding value to what you do. For example, one of the things I do with some of my Zoom people is I record the session and then I send them the link so that they can do the session on their own when I'm not there. And that really adds value for them because they are getting something for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And getting something great for nothing.
Yeah.
Trisha, what would you close with?
I would say the same. I think anytime, even in education, we give them the workshop for 30 days. You know, if they've paid $300 for something, I want them to see that we want them to really start teaching. And if they need to rewatch or review, it's important that they have that opportunity and not feel like in day one they had to get it all. And from a social media perspective and a marketing perspective, marketing is so much about letting them know not just what your content is and what your brand is, whether that's you or a business, but it's also giving them something that brings them back, right? So if they have to see it so many times, if they have to see your brand or see what you do so many times, what's going to bring them back to viewing that social media post? If it's the same post or if it's the same, they're not going to come back. So you got to give as much as you're going to get. And it's a fine line. But to keep in mind that that's how you keep their eyes, is to keep them engaged.
Keep their loyalty.
Yeah.
And Brittany, you're the last one on this totem pole here.
Right.
You're the
Yeah, my
top.
closing remarks would be to anybody who's been interested in getting into the virtual side, but maybe just had that barrier. Just speaking from personal experience, I had a mentor who told me, hey, don't be afraid. It feels kind of more vulnerable because our in-person sessions are a little bit more intimate, and then you put a screen between you and as a trainer, you can feel on the spot or in a way that you're not able to connect directly. But just having the confidence to put yourself out there, take that step, it really pays off from like a business simplicity standpoint. Because as you all said, and which is the most important piece, if you can make more money without having to travel somewhere, if you can be your own boss without having to pay rent somewhere, it just grows everybody and it extends your reach. So just don't be afraid to do it if it's something that you've been interested in.
Oh, I love that. All right, guys. I really want to thank you for joining us. If you can see my screen here, you can see that we're getting ready for our live stream mania, which is very exciting for us. And it's April 18th through 19th. So it's not this weekend, but it is this weekend. Hello, I'm looking here. I'm losing my time here. We've got wonderful people that are joining us. You can get 20 continuing education credits. It's streaming live on Zoom. We've got world-class presenters, of which some of these people that I have right here right now are on it. We included a full color schedule, or you can do the black and white printable schedule. And you can purchase all access recordings. We do our recordings $60 for 60 days. And this wonderful event is very easy to register for. We've got it all up online, and it's quite affordable. If people want to do only one day, they can do it for $99 or $149 for both days or $189, and then you get all the recordings for that extra $40. So that's kind of really cool. I want to thank Dan Fox for putting this all together. He's been working incredibly hard for SCW. We love him. And I want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Tricia. Thank you, Christine, Brittany, and you guys for joining us. You've been so loyal. We really appreciate you. And if we can help in any way, feel free to email us. We're always here. Okay. Thank you guys and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.